Today I'll show you how I recreate this animation in Blender inspired by this video from Thinker. You will learn how to design your characters, animate them, and how to light your scene. And if you want to follow along, all the assets are going to be in the description. Now let's get into it. First you want to go to Mixamo, go to the characters section, and in the first page you will have this mannequin. You want to download it and download it in the T-pose and in the FBX format. Now you press download. And for dressing our mannequins, we are going to be using Metatailor. I've talked about them in almost every video on my channel, so you just have to try it for free now or purchase the monthly subscription, and I'll teach you how to use it in a minute. So here in Metatailor, as you can see, I already have my characters. You won't have anything here, so the first thing you want to do is go to new project and give it a name. In this case, I oversaturated this joke, but yeah, please subscribe. And now you'll have something like this. You just have to go here to import avatar, and you want to import the mannequin you downloaded from Mixamo. Once you import it, nothing will happen, so you'll have to click this icon right here and select your mannequin right here. So click here on change avatar and you will have your mannequin right here. Now if you want to dress this character with custom clothings from the assets in the description, you will have to go here to import cloth and accessory, and in this case I'm just going to import these shorts right here, and you will have something like this. You can go all the way down and you will have the textures. So in my case I'm going to load the base color and the normal and also the roughness right here. Then you just have to click next step. Now select whatever preset makes sense. In this case I'm going to select pants and next step, and now you just have to play with these parameters and try to align the clothes with the characters as much as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, so then you just have to confirm and then start pose match. And yeah, basically you want to modify the position of your character to fit the clothes. In this case this is enough, so I'm just going to click confirm and then next step, and Metatailor will do its magic. As you can see, the shorts are perfectly placed on my character, and you will have to do that with the rest of the clothing that I left in the description. So once you're happy with your character, you just have to click here on export and then give it a name, choose an export path and export. Now here in Blender, I'm just going to import this character without animation and without custom normals and import FBX, and I will have something like this. Now that I have everything selected, I want to press Ctrl A and apply all transformations just in case. And now we are not going to care about the materials a lot. We are going to try to simplify this character a little bit so it's easier to animate, because for example this mask right here, if we enter edit mode, as you can see, it's pretty dense, so we don't need that much density, you know. So the first thing you can do is, for example, isolate your mannequin and press /key. And although a normal mannequin from Mixamo has quad geometry, Metatailor always exports in triangulated geometry. But there's a quick fix, and it's that if the model originally was quad geometry, it's pretty easy to just press here face and then tries to quads, and it will solve most of the issues. So it won't be perfect, but as you can see, it's a lot better. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. Now I'm just going to bring everything back and press 1, go to wireframe mode and then select my mannequin and press tab to enter edit mode, and I'm just going to delete everything that is under the clothes, and this is going to 1, reduce the number of vertices, and 2, is going to prevent any clipping between the mesh of the mannequin and the actual clothes. So I'm just going to press X and then delete vertices, and there you go. Now, for example, we are going to select the mask and press /key, enter edit mode. And one of the things that I could do is, for example, go to the back side of the mask and press L. And as you can see, I have all this extra geometry that I won't be watching in my video, so I'm just going to delete all of this without problem. Then another thing is that this mask was originally quad mesh, but then it turned into triangles after Metatailor, so I'm just going to press A and then face and tries to quads, and it will make everything quads again. And now another thing that I could do while everything is selected is pressing M and by distance, and as you can see it eliminated a lot of vertices. And the last thing I could do is go to the modifiers tab, add a decimate modifier, and I can decimate this all the way to 0.1 and it will keep most of the details. So as you can see, it barely lost any details and it has way less geometry, you know. I increased this to 0.3 because I saw some problems, but from this view you can barely notice any changes. So now you just have to apply this modifier. Now you have to do pretty much the same process with all the clothes, so it has less geometry and you can animate this easily. For example, here with the hoodie, I went to edit mode and this was originally a quad mesh, so I'm just going to select tries to quads and it will solve a lot. Then I'm going to press L here because we have this inside face that we are not going to be watching, so delete vertices. Then I'm going to press A and M and by distance and it will delete a lot of vertices. And now I'm going to add a subdivision surface and 2, just because it really looks way better with subdivision. As you can see, I'm going to apply this and it doesn't add like a lot. It's still pretty clean, so yeah, you just have to do the same with the rest of the clothing and also the other character. And now you just have to press A and go to File and Export FBX. Choose whatever location and you just want to go here and limit to selected objects and then select armature and shift select mesh and then give it a name obviously and export FBX. And now for animating our characters, I would like to try this software, and obviously I've already tried the software before recording this video and it's pretty good, so I really wanted to bring it to the channel and show it to you. I'm going to use the pro version and just a free trial, but yeah, as you can see the plans are pretty accessible, especially if you purchase the annual subscription. But yeah, just press here start free pro trial and follow all the steps and I'll see you inside this software. So here in Cascadeur I have this new scene and I really recommend you to go to settings and hotkeys window, I think. Nope. Settings, viewport import settings. Yeah, this is better. And now because of my humble screen I can't see everything here. So I'm just going to drag this window right here. And here you have this button all the way down. You have this button that says Blender preset. And if you have Blender, I think it's a pretty good idea because the controls are a bit confusing. So yeah, with the Blender preset, you can do the same thing as always, like orbiting with the middle mouse button and shift and middle mouse button to move yourself and all that stuff. And now to import a character, you just have to click here on File and import FBX. You have to select the preset here model and just leave everything normal and then click here on import. Select your character. In my case is criminal optimized, which is the criminal without a lot of geometry. And here you'll have this window. You just have to click yes to everything because you will appreciate it. So just click yes and then yes and then okay and add rig elements and just generate rig, and that's it. And now the interesting thing from Cascadeur is that this is not just IK posing. So as you can see, this leg is like moving the entire body. So coming up with realistic poses, it's really easy because this is AI auto posing, which means that you lift this leg and then the AI guesses where the rest of the body should be. And also the controllers are ultra simplified, because if you use Blender Rigify, I mean the controllers are like a fucking maze and sometimes I get pretty confused, and this is great, honestly. So now if you try to import another character, it won't rig it automatically. So what you have to do is press Ctrl N to open a new scene, and now you import the character here, rig it, just pressing yes, 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 and then you go back to your original scene and then File, Import, and import scene to current, and import this new scene where you imported the other character and rig it, and now you press open and you will have this other character, and you can just select the center of the body and just move it, and you will have both characters rigged, which is great. Now another thing you have to take into account to come up with realistic animations is the use of references. So even though this software is great, the software plus references are even better. So how do you import references? You have to go here to File, Import, and import reference video. Then you choose a file, and in this case I filmed the fight scene from the Thinker video, so I'm just going to open this, and then you have to select the timestamps where you want your animation. In my case it was from the minute 1 and 03 to 1 and 08, and now import. And now you will be able to position your reference video however you want. In my case I just position it roughly right here, and then here you have these transformation controllers, and here you have the scale, so you can scale this up a little bit, and now you'll have your reference here and your characters here. Now you should start blocking out your scene, so I'm just going to move this a little bit to roughly right here, the frame 29. And then I'm going to add a key here, because if I don't add a key, and let's say I want to move this character, I won't be able to, so you just have to press here the key. And now with the transformation controllers from here, you just move your characters into position, and you can do something like this, and move your character roughly right here, and like this, and something like this. And yeah, I think this is fine. And now I'm going to select this controller, for example, and lower this character down, and then select the face right here and lift this up. Now I'm going to move this foot roughly right here, and as you can see, it's amazing because you just have to move one joint and it will move the entire body. So yeah, it's great. Now I'm going to put the hands into position, something like this, and I'm going to select here the hand, and I'm going to move it roughly right here. And if you want to close the fist, unfortunately this is only in the pro version, so once my trial finishes I won't be able to do this. So I mean, I will be able to pose the fingers, but not with auto posing. So yeah, just click here and you'll have these extra controllers, and you want to select this one to activate the fingers. And now with the index finger and changing the transformation here from global to local, you can do this, and yeah, maybe this, until you have like a close fist, and there you go, this is fine. And I also want to close this fist right here. There you go. As you can see, it's super easy to manipulate. And now I'm going to turn off the controllers for the fingers, and I'm going to go back to global orientation, and I'm just going to move this fist a little bit. And as you can see, it's this easy to just move your character into the correct position. Now I'm just going to move this character right here to something like this, and I'm going to move the feet roughly right here. So select this controller, press here, and move the feet roughly right here, and going to pose the hand right here, and now the other hand roughly right here. And let's rotate this a little bit, and also this, and there you go. Maybe move this down a little bit. And now let's close the fist with the auto posing for the fingers. Let's move this roughly like this. There you go. Now to the next finger, and as you can see, it's super easy. There you go. So now I have my first pose. You can change here the views, and the ones that are interesting are here the auto posing mode, and here the view mode, which lets you preview your poses. And in my case, I'm pretty happy with it. And then I just go back to the controllers right here, and I'm just going to move the timeline a little bit and see like the next big pose. So yeah, I think this is the next big pose. The guy here is charging the punch right here, and this other guy is also charging a punch right here. So I'm just going to press here and add a key, and then go to the global settings, and I'm just going to make this. And this, as you can see, is pretty odd, and that's because when the points are blue, the auto posing it's like turned off. So what you have to do is select the points that you want to free up, and then press this icon right here, and it will reposition everything, and it will look a lot more natural. And also I want to rotate the torso a little bit, and then move this roughly right here, and also select this point and move this back, and that's fine. Now I want to move this roughly right here. And now let's select the other character. Maybe I want to free up this right here, and also maybe this, so it's more natural. And then really charge the punch right here, and lift the elbow a little bit, and maybe move this like this, and there you go. Now I have my second pose. I'm going to move myself a little bit, and this is the next interesting pose. So I want to add another key right here, and now I want to free up this controller right here, and also the elbow controller. And now I want to punch the guy right here, and maybe move this a little bit. I think this is fine. Maybe I want to move the view a little bit right here, and then maybe rotate the entire torso like this. Let's free up this. Yeah, where you start seeing weird things happening, the best thing to do is to just free up some of the points to see what happens. And now I'm going to free up this elbow right here, and I'm going to move this roughly right here, and then move this, and then maybe stand up a little bit, and really extend here this thing, and move this right here, and these two things right here, and this. Sorry, I'm going to select both of these points, and maybe this one, and move right here, and both of these, and right here. Make something like this. Let's move these 2 feet roughly right here, and this right here, and maybe this right here. So I have these poses. So now if you want to start the animation from here, you have this control right here, and you just have to select here the frame 29, for example, and it will start from here. And you can do the same with the end of the animation. Let's say you want to change this to 40, it will end the animation here. I'm not going to block out everything just because the video will be super long if I do that, but this is the main concept. You have to block out the main poses and really take into account freeing up some of the points, because as you move your character, all the points are going to start becoming blue and it will be pretty tough to pose your character that way. So for example, if I want to move this punch to here, I will probably just free up this point so the elbow moves a little bit more naturally. So yeah, once you have your animation, you have to select all your points and then select this button right here and press here Bezier clamped, and it will interpolate your animation like this. So yeah, now you have movement. And another interesting thing you can do is open the scenes right here and you'll have these models right here, and you can open this a bit more and you have the body, the head, arms and legs controllers. And for example, let's say I want the arms to be FK instead of IK. I can do that. And if you don't know where you need FK and where you need IK, I also don't know, but I have some ideas. For example, I think arms should be FK all the time, but if your arms touch the ground, let's say you are animating a handstand, and let's say from this point the character is touching the ground with the hands, you want to select this and then change to IK, and that will make your animation better. Then the legs, I think they always need to be in IK, but let's say your character jumps, so let's say it does like a backflip or something like that. The moment the character like stops touching the ground, let's say in this area right here, you want to select the legs and change from IK to FK, and that will make everything better. And another thing you want to do is, if your entire character is like in mid-air, let's say it's jumping and you have a couple frames where your character is completely in the air, you want to select those frames in the body controllers and select FK, or just select everything and select FK, and that will be better than IK. So once you've done all of those tweaks, you want to see if your animation is good and maybe look for some problematic areas. Let's say your character is like completely transpassing the body of your character, then you want to go here, for example, and go to your controllers and change a little bit. Obviously you have to make a key and then change the positions a little bit and tweak your animations as much as you need. And then the other good thing about this software is the physics tool. So you want to activate here the physics assistant, and it will correct your poses to a physically accurate version. So let's say the way you pose your character, it's not realistic because the center of mass, it's not aligned or something like that. The auto physics tool, it's going to correct it, and in this case we can't see a lot of difference, but yeah, once you do your entire animation, you will see it would look a lot better. And that's the magic of this software, because you will achieve realistic movement pretty easily. Okay, so here I have this problem. As you can see, it's yellow and it's interpreting like a jump right here. As you can see, the character is like making a jump, and if you pay attention, we have these points right here, which is fulcrum points. Yeah, in English that means that if this is green, your character is touching the ground. So as you can see, when we go further in this animation, this is not considered a fulcrum point till here. So it's like an endless jump. And in order to correct that, you have to go to this key right here and then activate the ghost state. And this is pretty much like the previous pose of your character, essentially. So what you have to do is try to correct this a little bit. So as you can see, we have this in green. So with just one, it will interpret that this feet stays in the ground and the character is lifting the feet in this frame, but this stays in the ground. And in the auto physics, it will look like that, so there's no longer a jump. And if you just don't want that, you want the same foot position, you just can move this right here and it will activate the fulcrum point, and now there's no jumps as you can see. So once you're happy with your physics, you just want to select everything and then click here on snap to physics, and you can just turn off physics assistant, and now your animation will be like with your physics version. So now I opened my original fight scene, and as you can see, it's a lot of keys, and these red keys are like little adjustments. And then as you can see, when the character is in the air, I have the FK activated and all that stuff. So a problem that I have with the physics tool was if I activate the physics assistant, I will have like a problem right here. Like the animation will be great, you know, but here when the character touches the ground, I have this problem. Yeah. So yeah, I couldn't solve it. I tried a lot of things, but what I did was deactivate the physics assistant like this. And now I'm just going to select everything until everything starts to break. I'm going to activate work on interval and then activate the physics assistant. Now I will just have the physics till this part, and now I can just snap to physics, and then from here on I won't have the physics activated, so it's going to be like just the original animation with the Bezier interpolation. And that's it. Once I had everything, I just went to File, Export, and export FBX scene, and just leave everything normal and export. But the first time I tried to do that, I got like an error right here, so I couldn't export. And that's because if you go to the outliner and then just collapse everything, so I'm just going to collapse everything here. If I have like repeated names right here, I have to delete them or just assign a unique name to each object. So for example, in this case, I have armature 2 times, and I also have these 3, 2, and all that stuff repeated. So what I have to do is go here and rename and give a unique name to each object in the outliner. And if you don't want to read everything and see what is repeated, you can just take a screenshot of this and ask ChatGPT to find the repeated names, and you just correct that, and that's it. Now you will be able to go to File, Export, Export FBX, Scene, and just export, and you will be able to import that into Blender. So here in Blender, I'm just going to import the fight right here. Obviously I want the animation but without custom normals, and import FX, and there you go, I will have my animation right here. So as you can see, it's quiet for a little bit. You just have to go to the point where they start fighting and then just delete everything before that and select this G and move to the first frame, and then here in the frame 78 you want to press this button and you'll have your timeline like at the same time you have this animation. And now that you exported your animation, you will see that the mannequins are triangulated again, so you just have to do the same as before, trace to quads, and do the same with this model right here. And also everything that was previously quads, for example, I think this is also triangulated. Nope, I don't know why, to be honest, but this shirt, it's actually triangulated. So you just have to press A and face and trace to quads, and it will roughly correct almost everything. Then this short will be the same. It was originally a quad mesh, so just trace to quads, and that's it. Now let's take a look at the materials, and as you can see, we don't have any materials. So for the mask, I just used like a normal material, so roughness 2.6, and then the base color like a bit of a gray, something like this. And then for the rest of the materials, it's better to just import, for example, a mannequin right here and then just steal the material. So I'm just going to select the mannequins right here and then this mannequin, so this is the active object, and then Control L and link materials, and now they will have the same material as the mannequin, and now I can just delete the mannequin. And then for the clothes, you just want to go to, you know, the original textures, so go here to new, give it a name like hoodie, and then select this and then Ctrl-Shift-T, and in this case I have this, then textures, and then I'm just going to select everything, and that's it. I will have everything here, and you just want to do the same with all the materials. The shorts, it's a bit different, so I'm just going to select shorts, and I'm going to press Ctrl-Shift-T and go to textures right here, and as you can see, the man from the Thinker video had black shorts, and in this case these are red, so I'm just going to unblock the base color and make this dark, something like this. And then this is super shiny for me, so I'm just going to add a color ramp between the roughness and the principal BSDF and just increase the black value to something like this, and now this is less shiny. So this is before and this is after. Yeah, you want to do the same with everything. And another important thing you want to do is pressing Shift A and empty and sphere and GC and GX and S, and yeah, something like this. And now you want to select the armatures and shift click on the empty, and then Ctrl P and parent object, and now it will be a lot easier to move these guys into position when you make your final scene. So before showing you how I did the scene that you saw in the first part of the video, I'm just going to show you the settings. I used the cycle settings, so instead of Eevee I'm going to use cycles, then experimental, GPU, max samples in the viewport 60 and activate denoise, and then I just use 100. I was surprised, like I had a pretty good results with just 100 samples in the render. And then instead of open image, optics to denoise, and then in the light paths I increased this to 12, decreased this to 0, and increased this to 12. And that's because I didn't have any transmissive or volume materials in my final scene, so I just increased this. And then right here I also added some motion blur and set it up to 0.7. And then here in the color management I used AGX, and I think I used medium contrast because high contrast was like a lot, like this looked like super dark, like a black void, so I just decreased the contrast a little bit to medium, and that's it. Then in the output settings I just set this up to 24 frames, and then 1920 by 1080 because it's just a tutorial. And then here I did a tiny bit of a change because I wanted to just experiment, and yeah, it was like a good result. I didn't notice a lot of difference, but instead of rendering in PNG I rendered in OpenEXR, and here in the codec I chose the DWAA lossy. And yeah, I did this because if you render with this and then composite your image, you have a lot more information to work with. So yeah, I don't know, I was just experimenting. So yeah, I'm going to jump to my original scene and show you everything around. Okay, so this is my original scene. This house, you'll have it in the description. I just selected a random house because I didn't want to model everything. Like, this video is so you can learn how to animate characters, not how to model like entire houses. So yeah, then this house I just selected the windows and then give it like it's just a normal material with super low alpha, just because I wanted this sunlight to enter the scene. And yeah, if we go here to the render view, I used this sunlight not like a sun but like a moon, you know. So when you see this, you just assume this is night, although I'm using a sunlight. So yeah. And if you don't know how sunlight works, the position of it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is the rotation. So I just press 3 and change the rotation, and then 7 and change the rotation, just so I can have this kind of light right here. And it also made like a pretty interesting rim light in this area. So yeah, I really liked the effect. And then in terms of the lighting inside, I just have this plain light right here with 8 watts of power and this warm color. And yeah, I tried like a lot of different, positions for the lights. So I positioned the lights in places where it makes sense instead of just adding lights to make everything look like as good as possible with the characters. And then after this camera change, I added this plain light right here just because I was losing a lot of information here, so I just added a little bit of light and it doesn't look that different, but it's pretty good. Then the camera, I just positioned the camera here. Is a 35mm camera. It has some shake from the Shakify add-on. I will leave the link in the description. And I just added the preset out of car window and influence to 0.6 and speed to 1.1. And then in the solid view you will be able to see like this shake effect. And I think I added the same camera shake to this camera right here. Let me see. Yeah, out of car window, but yeah, I reduced the speed and also reduced the influence. And then this empty right here is controlling the depth of field of this camera right here. So I just added an empty here and then selected the camera and then selected here the empty to control the camera and reduced the f-stop a little bit. And then with this camera I used this empty to control the depth of field of this camera, and I used like a normal f-stop and just selected this empty right here. If you don't know how to make camera cuts, it's basically you have to select your camera and position yourself in the first frame and press Ctrl B and then go to the frame 40, select your camera and press Ctrl B right here, and you will have this camera change like this. And then if you don't know how I keyframe the visibility of this light right here, I basically added this TV icon right here, went to the frame 40 and pressed here I and I on the camera, so we keyframe the render view also, and then went one frame back and then disable, so I clicked here and then pressed I again on both. And now I have this light like this. And I also did something similar to the sunlight, to the power, because in the first frame I wanted it to be like 2 of strength and then here just 1 of strength. And here I didn't do like anything weird. I just placed a keyframe here, pressing I, and then another keyframe here, pressing I, and it's just 1 frame, so we don't have to care about interpolation and all that stuff. Okay, now I'm going to go to the last frame and I'm going to make an image render, pressing F12, and then I will go to the compositing and show you what effects I added to the final scene. Okay, now that I have this render right here, I'm going to go here to the compositing, and this is without effects and this is with effects. And yeah, I just added like a brightness and contrast, and I also added a color balance and make this a little bit blue. So as you can see, this is the before and this is the after. And then I added a glare node with the bloom preset. I thought about using fog glow, but I liked bloom better. And then quality high and threshold to 0.3 and size to 9, and this is the before and this is the after. So yeah, pretty basic, but yeah, I'm not like an expert in compositing. Now if you want to render this, you just have to select a folder where you want your frames to be exported and press here render and render animation, and you will have something like this. So these are all the frames of my animation. They are all in EXR. And now you just have to go to this plus icon, select video editing and then video editing again. Go to the first frame and then press Shift A and image sequence, and go to the folder where you exported your frames and press A, and then select the end frame to be 78 in my case and add image strip, and you will have here your animation. Now you just have to select another folder or just the same, but I prefer another, and change here from OpenEXR to FFmpeg video and go to the encoding, and then from Matroska to MPEG-4 and from medium quality to high quality, then go to render and render animation again. And this is the final result. If you like this video, you'll probably like this one. Remember that you have the assets to recreate this edit in the description. Consider subscribing and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.